Welcome to this week's episode. It is my honor to be your host, Dr. Katie Williams, with Dr. Williams LLC and the Dr. Williams podcast. If you want to keep this show up and running, please take a moment to follow the show, leave a rating and a review, and share it with somebody that you think would enjoy listening. This show is about highlighting what I consider to be the most valuable form of communication. And it's something we all have, whether we're tapped into it or not. That is, intuition. Let's jump right in and see how today's guest utilizes their unique ability to tap into their intuition and how they use it to serve others. Make sure to listen to the end to find out how you can work with today's guest. I'm here today with Marion Conaway, and we're going to kind of do a free-flowing kind of reading today, because this isn't something that Marion really does as a profession, but it is a gift that she has. And if something comes up or she feels something, then she shares it with the person that it is directed at. So we are going to just kind of see what comes through. And I'm super excited to just have it be that way and just really be in this authentic moment of now and see where it takes us. Marion, I'm super excited to have you on the show. Thanks for being here. Can you just give a little introduction for the audience on who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Marion Conaway. I'm 39 years old and I have 4 children. And my spiritual journey started whenever my third son started tapping into past life memories. And whenever I was faced with that, I realized that what I was witnessing was much more real than the reality that I was actually living. And so that's where the journey began, and that's where channeling came in. That's where mystical things started happening, and they were so much more real than my life.
So it sounds like you kind of just opened up the gateway, like you had this realization that this was something that was going on, and that kind of triggered this opening for you, and then things started happening.
Yeah, I would say I was pretty open as a child. I think children per se are very open, and I found myself adapting to my environment, and that made me close up. That's what I realized now through that journey is all the adaptation that I was doing because I didn't understand certain reactions or certain behaviors, and I didn't seem to fit in that pattern and in this environment and in that society, that I decided to mimic other people, and I decided to adapt to what I felt their needs were, in order to fit in, and that was leading to a journey to a lot of traumatic experiences, which I now know were simply to reduce my frequency onto the level that my environment was providing to me.
Yeah.
And then whenever my son had that experience, yes, that opened up the door, and I realized that there was another world.
Yeah. So what is your process? So we're going to try to see if we can allow for you to tap in intuitively with me today. How do you do that? What is it that makes it work for you?
There's nothing I can force. It happens sometime I sit in a restaurant and all of a sudden I'm getting a message of a person sitting there that they're supposed to do something about their arthritis. And I just have to walk over and, get over the fact that I might be seen as a crazy person and just tell them what they could possibly do. Or I sit in a room with a person and I get a feeling, I get a tingling, I get a sort of sensation, and then we might get into talking, and I might feel like, now that I'm talking to you, I feel a certain pressure here at my nose, and I'm feeling a tinkling there on my head. And then I can go and say, like, is that something that you're familiar with? Is that something where you resonate with it?
Wow. Okay. So for me, hearing you say that, I have allergies. I do a nose spray every day. I don't miss it because when it hits hard, and that's what I'm thinking might be the nose feeling that you're getting. I also have been a little congested lately. We took a family vacation and we went down to Seaside, Oregon, where they have the boardwalk and there's an arcade and bumper cars and all of these really fun things for us to do with our kids. And I had some old resistance coming up for me where I had this fear of germs, of all the things we were touching. And so I noticed it was happening and I was very fearful that we were going to get sick. And then the day we were leaving, I woke up with a sore throat. And so I kind of have some residual of that going on right now. It's been very mild, but it's definitely a little bit of congestion going on.
So what I feel right now is a pressure here. And when I feel into it, it starts making it harder for me to swallow. And it's almost like the way I have to swallow, it feels like my my throat has to adjust the way it sits. And I have to adjust my posture. And then it goes onto the way that I have to adjust it to where I sit in a different position in order to breathe right. And this is creating anxiety. And it's even creating anxiety a little bit in my legs. I can feel my lower legs tingling a little bit. It's almost like, and if I give into it, it's giving me a feeling of shakiness, of not being completely firm and stable on the ground in who I am.
Wow.
So, and then it's leading into my headspace, and then it's making my headspace tingle because I feel then that I'm going into a position of where in a way I feel like I know I have to sit with it, but I'm trying to figure out a way to deal with it to where it makes sense.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out a way to control it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that resonates with you.
Yeah, I mean, you're touching on a lot of things that have to do with something that happened yesterday. I worked with someone else yesterday, and he did some energy work on me. He brought up my throat several times, and when he works with energy, he does like a coughing to get the energy out. He was sending me some Reiki, and there was a lot going on in the throat where he was having to clear that. So I don't know if this is really a physical thing that you're tuning into. It feels like it's more of an energy kind of blockage kind of thing. And what I understand is that trauma a lot of times resonates there in the throat. And that's why a lot of people lose their voice when they've experienced trauma. And that's definitely something that's in my history. I was sexually abused when I was 4. My parents were also divorced when I was 4. So I had a really traumatic time around the age of 4. And it's something that I've been working on a lot. And that's probably something you're picking up on. And then the head part you're talking about, I feel like that's speaking to how I overthink things. I think about things a lot. And I try to kind of direct, like, okay, I'm on this thought pattern. How can I turn this into something productive? Because I really have this career focus. And I believe that what I'm doing is going to turn out to be a really pivotal thing in the world. And so when I get on these thoughts, I start going, okay, so what is it? And I try to tune into my intuition, and I'm asking my angels, like, where is this taking me? What do I need to do next? And it kind of creates this sense of urgency, which isn't very healthy sometimes, because then I'm just like not in a healthy, feeling good state.
So does that make you feel unstable in who you are?
That is a really good question. I feel like I'm a pretty secure person, but I do have some insecurity where my career is focused. Well, not where it's focused, where my career is concerned. I have some insecurity. I just don't know how it's all going to pan out. And even
Mhm.
though I really want to just settle into the unfolding of it because I trust and I believe it's happening, I do have a little bit of anxiety and urgency in wanting to get it going. Like, come on and unfold already.
Mhm.
So there is some of that.
So I have a question, and the question is where's your security coming from? Because if I look at it while you were talking, I could see that on the left and right of you there was a structure, like a handle, almost like a railing, like if you would walk up a mountain, and it's a path that has been walked, but it's also a path that has already been in a way secured, and that therefore creates a form of stability and security, especially for the mind,
Okay.
because we can hold on to that anytime. And it's not like I don't see you walking it and holding on to it, but it's an arm's length reach. So if you would have to, you could, but
Yeah.
you don't need. And so you're having a form of stability in walking. But what if you would take this image and there would be no railing to possibly hold on to? Would you feel the same security?
Wow. Well, I'm feeling like the security that you're sensing is my husband. He supports me 100%, well, in all ways, but financially. He is the one that runs our household. We are a single income family and it's all
Mhm.
him and it always has been. When he and I got together, I quit my job and we started living together and he's been supporting me ever since, putting me through my doctorate program, supporting me on my podcast venture. He funds it all. And without him there, I believe I could step into myself and do it. I do. I know that about myself, but I definitely like having that sense of security that he offers. And it's very comfortable. And I mean, he is a very hard worker. And that's part of the reason why I have this pressure, because I really want to allow him some freedom, because he has been so supportive of me and he doesn't complain and he works hard and he does everything he can for his family. And I want to contribute in that way. So that's a big drive for me in this career, but I'm definitely feeling like it's him. Um, if you had asked me that same question several months ago, I would have brought my mom into the picture for emotional support and security. But I feel like I've kind of created more of a healthy detachment from that.
Mhm.
Where we used to have this codependency, I don't feel like it's there as much anymore. So that's giving it all to you.
That's perfect. So my next question would be, who tells you that by your husband doing that and supporting you with a safe surrounding, it is not the freedom that he's living? Maybe that is his freedom.
Yesterday, I mentioned to you that I had another interaction with somebody, and this person in a phone call told me that he could see my husband and myself in a Victorian era and that we had been married before. And he said that he saw me in this Victorian dress and my husband was standing behind me. And his message was, he has always been there to support you. And it helped me in that moment to accept it, to receive it, in a way to where it doesn't feel like such resistance that I'm trying to like help out and give back to him. It helped me to kind of feel like we have this soul understanding and relationship where he wanted that role in my life. And that it was big. It was big for me to line up with that, where I've always been kind of trying to do it for him.
Mhm.
And then I started thinking, well, maybe my role for him is different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel this is a big issue in a misunderstanding in regards to patterns. Is we have perception, and our perception is um, can have different awareness and conscious stages. So if you see the role of your husband as he's the supporter, he is the financial worker, or the financial part of it, and he's supporting with this, this, and this. And then you take the picture that you have from him, and then you attach that picture to yourself. And then all of a sudden for you, it comes up that it would be so hard getting up every day and doing this kind of job. It would be so hard sacrificing this, this, and this. Because what you're doing is you're taking a picture that you perceive, and you apply that picture on who you are. And then all of a sudden you see how difficult those things are for you. And that's the moment you attach a value to it. And that's the moment where you attach a sacrifice to it. And that's the moment where you say, oh my God, he's doing all of this. And what is my contribution?
Would you like a solo hindsight episode related to this specific reading? If you do, send me an email at hello@drwilliamspodcast.com. And all you have to put in the email is hindsight and the kind of reading or my guest's name, and I'll know which one you're interested in. As I produced the Intuitive Wonderland, time went on before I actually launched it. So I have a unique perspective on each of these readings and how they played out in time. Most of these readings were recorded a year ago in the past. So I can offer my insight into the information that was provided to me and how the information has played out in time in my life. If this is something you're interested in, I'm happy to share that with you. Please send me an email and let me know. All right, let's get back to the reading.
And that is also the moment then where you dismiss that you in your true self might show the same picture to him, to where he says, I can't believe that she's at home with the kids and that she does the household. And now she's doing that podcasting thing because I could never do this. And I have a partnership with a person that has been with me through past lives, that has always been supporting me. And I had to understand that he is, for me, somebody that brings up triggers because we're so close and our souls are so close and there is so much love and bondage between us that he is the one that can do it. He is the one that gets so close into my core that he can trigger me, but that he can also go so close into my core that he can give me support that nobody else does. And if I look at me and him, no matter what stages our relationship went through, we were always on a level to where the one person always provided exactly what the other person needed to make their own step, to make their healing, to grow.
Yeah.
And that way we grow step and step together.
Wow. When you were talking at first about taking the picture and putting it on myself and thinking about all the things that John does for our family and for me, that also really helped me to appreciate it more because, that's something that we have in our relationship where he doesn't feel like I understand what it's like for him. And likewise, I feel like, well, you don't understand what it's like for me. And we have
can't.
this. No, that's true. We can't unless you're in that role. And I find myself like, oh, good. You're going to have the kids all day one day. You're going to finally understand what it's like for me.
But
I have that feeling. No,
he doesn't because we are all unique.
Yeah.
And so even if you put him in the same situation, even if you place anybody in the same environment that you are in, they will have a different reaction to it.
That's true.
It will trigger different points for them. So we will never know. We will never know.
Not to mention that the kids respond different to different people.
Absolutely.
My good friend, she watches the boys for me while I podcast. And she mentioned that when I show up to pick them up, they become chaotic. And my husband has said the same thing, that when he's alone with them, everything's fine. And then when I get home, it's chaos. And I'm like, what is this? What is it about me that brings forth the chaos? And I don't feel like I'm a very chaotic person, but something about mom being there all of a sudden changes the atmosphere. And it really is like that. You know, they're different kids when they're with my husband or with my friend or my mom than they are when they're with me. And so it never really will be the same experience. I get what you're saying, 100%.
So would you describe yourself as the opposite? Would you describe yourself as pretty controlled, as organized? Would you describe
I am
yourself as
organized. Controlled wasn't a good word. I feel like I lose control sometimes.
No,
oh, you felt that too?
Yeah. So I shifted to organized.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you feel that the chaos could come because they are trying to readjust to your organizational pattern?
Maybe. That could be. My friend she's more free-flowing. She's more just kind of at ease and go with the flow. And I am a little bit more structured. So it could be that it's a transitional period. And my husband, the same thing. He's like, oh, you guys just play and do your thing. And I'm more like, okay, it's 10 o'clock. It's time to go to the park.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's your answer.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I didn't expect this to be like a therapy session, but it kind of has been.
But see, I feel this is where reading actually, for me, brings a value, because we can only go, that's my personal perception, right? To where are you now? Mm-hmm. Where are you now? And what is the next awareness step that you need in order to take the next step or change a direction? For me, energetically, what I've learned, readings, I mean, there's different approaches, right? I mean, we could go into a past life and start reading from there and start seeing patterns and start then shift into what patterns do you recognize in this life and what could it tell you? And can you let go of it if you see that this could be a learning from it? So you can take certain moments in time to look at a picture, look at a behavior, and see what resonates out of this. What are the ripples that are going out from it? But at the same time, every moment, you're actually a new person. Every single moment. And if while I am talking, what I just said is in the past, and what I am about to say in this moment is already lined up in the future as a thought or as an income and energy. And that can shift every moment. So if I take a picture in the moment, and then I can go and analyze your energetic, and I can tap into that, and you can maybe see it as right in the train on the train track, right? And with your emotional state that you're in right now, and with your knowledge state and your awareness state, everything in this picture at this moment in time, you're headed in this direction. Mm-hmm. You might have goals, you might have patterns that help you to reach those goals. And this is like a linear past, present, future timeline that I can follow. I can absolutely follow that, and then can say, along the timeline, this is where you're headed. This is what might happen. But when I sit here with you, and when we're talking, and when you're starting to realize things, and when you're starting to become aware of that this might be a behavioral pattern, or when something resonates with you, you're having a shift, and you're actually having a growth of awareness and of consciousness. And that allows you to tap into actually more potential. That allows you to become aware of different choice points. And that allows you to make, in an hour when we're done talking and you're picking up your children, you can make a different choice.
Yes.
You can sit down and you can say, hey guys, what do you want to do? What do you feel like doing? You want to go to the park? All right, let's go to the park. Forget the schedule. Because I can drag you to the park at 10 o'clock, but maybe nobody feels like going to the park. And then we're just having gripey bitchy. And I'm sitting here thinking, but I'm giving you my time and I'm dedicating my time to you and my attention, and you're still not happy. Because it's maybe not aligned with the moment.
That's true.
So when we're doing a reading in this way, you can grow, you can expand, and you can actually alter what's happening in the future for you.
Wow. I love your integrated approach. You have a very welcoming and expertise kind of way of presenting this. And I know you're not doing this like for a career or receiving money from it, but I feel like you definitely could.
I could, yeah. But it's also just a small part of who I am.
Sure. But it feels very, I've done several of these, and I just feel like you have a very grounded sense of what you're sensing and the other person, and a way of guiding them. I don't know. It's very nice. I have to tell you. It really is. And I feel like a lot of people who are going to be listening are going to resonate with it. I feel like you could help a lot of people. I am a therapist, and just to have you coaching me in that way was very helpful. So, okay. So I love this. I love this so much that I have to ask another question, and we'll see what comes through.
Yeah.
There's something on the horizon for me and my husband, and it would change the whole structure of our daily lives. And it's something we've been talking about a lot. And you're talking about this linear path. And so I just want to throw it out there and see if you sense anything. There's an opportunity for us to buy an established business. And this will be more for John. This would be a career change for him. Something that would be more his. Right now he works for a company, and he's always kind of done that. And I've always said, you should be a business owner. You have the drive, you have the ambition, you have the mind for it. And it's been a strong feeling that I've had where he's kind of just floating in, I don't know which way I want to go. But now this opportunity has come up, and he's really stuck on the financial aspect of it because that's where his stress is, because he is the provider in our family. And he wants to make the right choice. But it's still kind of exciting to consider doing his own thing and having his own thing. So I'm wondering if you're getting any sense of this. He's very teeter-tottery on it. And I've been telling him to look inward to find some guidance. And he's not as spiritually focused as I am. So it's not something that's real comfortable for him. So if I can receive some kind of help, maybe through what you tune into, I'm sure he would appreciate that.
So, I cannot make a decision for any of you. So what comes back up is two things. It's one, the hand railing that we talked about earlier. And then what he's used to. So not only is he dealing with his own inner voice that might tell him to go that route, but it's also the connection point and the kind of goalposts that are established between you and him. And I find it really beautiful how quickly this conversation actually turns into the point that we just talked about those side railings, and we just come up with, yes, this is the financial side, and about the symptoms in the body that you're experiencing as well. And then at the same time, basically standing right at the step to just drop them. Because this is not only his step, it's also yours.
Yes.
And if you are making the step for yourself, that you say, I am stepping into my own power, I am doing my own thing, and I am capable of dropping the dependency on the financial safety net that you created. And that doesn't mean that you have to go out and all of a sudden try to make money. And if you realize this is a journey ahead and we might lose some money and maybe our living situation might change, that you have to stuff the lack or you have to compensate, because what's coming in is something new. And what's going to have to happen is that you let go of the old pattern of what you're used to. And it's going to be a shift for everybody, but it's also a chance of reorganizing of what am I used to? What do I need? What do I want? And learning to unlearn the old patterns, learning to step out of the old behaviors. And that could mean, like in my case, we moved from a 3-story house into a single wide trailer with 6 people. And I cried for half a year about not having 2 washing machines. And it really shifted my life. But I had to go through a phase to where I had to learn about needs and wants, and to where I had to understand that everything I need is always provided. Everything you need for taking the next step is always there. And if we learn to shift the old patterns that we're used to, and if we really stop clinging on to those and just letting them go, then that catapults us into a realm of the unknown. And that can be scary.
Yeah.
And it can be frustrating. And it can bring out and shake up a lot of fears, a lot of insecurities, a lot of uncertainties, and a lot of I don't knows. And it can also go into the how. How do I need to do this? And what I felt in my own journey is a lot of times there was, in a way, a trap of looking at how do others do it? How did I used to do it? And there I had to learn that the how is really not my concern. It's not any of ours concern.
Yes.
Because we're not in this alone. And while we are trying to figure out how we get to a point, we're missing the opportunity that was actually presented to us and that we can just receive and take.
Wow. That's amazing advice for anybody considering any kind of change.
It's scary. It is scary. And it will bring up and rattle the cage, because you cannot approach something new with the old patterns that you were running on, with the same thoughts, with the same emotion. Then it's not new. It's just a different color on the same painting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. And I'm going to share that with him and see what resonates with him. That'll be fun. This has been amazing. I think that you are amazing. I think you do a wonderful job tapping in to your higher self and the higher self of me. You really were able to give me the message that I needed to hear and I wanted to hear and I was ready to hear. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do this and opening the doors for me to see something in a really beautiful and clear way. So thank you for being here on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
That concludes today's episode. It is my hope that you found benefit in listening to today's guest and gained a greater appreciation for the guidance of intuition in each of us. If you haven't already, please make sure to follow us on social media under Dr. Williams Podcast. Look within, trust your intuition, and allow yourself to explore all the splendor that it has to offer. This is the Intuitive Wonderland.